Here at Daytona 500 Media Day with the driver of the number 4, Kevin Harvick. This is not the new song and dance for you. You're very familiar with these media days. You're familiar with making it to victory lane here for the Daytona 500. But I know engraving your name on that Harley J. Earl trophy for a second time is what you're going after on Sunday.
Absolutely. And look, this is much more tolerable since we haven't had to do it for a couple of years. So it's kind of refreshing to see everybody, right?
Yeah, you dismissed me, Harvick.
No, well, it was just an indirect.
Yep.
But no, I think as you look at the Daytona 500 and everything that comes with it, and the hype, the anticipation of the new car, this year is just a little bit different, and
right.
it feels much different than it has over the last several years, because we had such a successful week at the LA Coliseum.
Mm-hmm.
All the enthusiasm and excitement that came with that particular event, the new car, new team owners, and everybody back at the racetrack with the sold-out house it just has a different feel. And I think for me, it's the feel that you used to get for every year's Daytona 500, and so I'm excited for our sport and everybody involved in it, because I think as you look at where we are compared to where we were even 5 years ago, even before COVID was even a thing, it's a long ways from there, and excited to be a part of it.
I know that this next gen car will present challenges, and it'll be a learning curve that everybody has to learn and fill this notebook for this new car. But you mentioned the future of this sport. The future, it's on track come Sunday, and you guys have already had some testing sessions and practice sessions already in this car. But what's going to be the biggest challenge of learning this car, especially in the first 4 or 5 races?
Yeah, well, I spent most of my day in the first practice just trying to make sure I was comfortable shifting the car, the way that the steering felt, the way that the brakes worked, bumping another car, just, pretty elementary things that need to become second nature, right?
Welcome back to school.
Yeah, and it really is welcome back to school,
right.
Just because of the fact that, you have to be comfortable with all these little things. And so for me, it's really been kind of refreshing and fun, because it's things that I haven't thought about for a number of years, and be able to, talk about it with my team, and go to the simulator and go to the tests and come to the racetrack, and they're really easy problems to solve, to be honest with you, but there's hundreds of these easy problems that have to be solved that, you won't see coming.
Right.
And, there's going to be weeks that are great. There's going to be weeks that are just going to be horrendous. And, a lot of that is going to come because you only have 15 minutes of practice, and then you have, straight to qualifying, and then the car's impounded. And so, that structure is very challenging, but it also challenges you. It challenges everybody around you to have an open mind, to think about what you're doing and try to put those pieces together in order to be successful.
If any of you were wondering if he's over it, or the eyes are still shiny and bright. I see him walking in here now with this next gen car. I know there's a level of excitement, but working with this drafting and the pack racing that we're going to see and that we're familiar with when it comes to these super speedways, we're not going to see the full product of what this car can do until the drop of the green flag on Sunday for
Absolutely.
the Daytona 500.
Yeah.
What is that going to be like?
Yeah, well, I think being here a number of times, there's a number of things that you just need to be comfortable with, and I think as you get into the race, I've been here long enough to know and be realistic about knowing when the whole process is actually going to start, and that's going to be when the green flag drops for the Daytona 500, because there's just no other time that you go through the week where the cars are all together. And you go to the qualifying races and you have half the pack, and that enthusiasm and willingness to be aggressive is not there until you throw the green flag on Sunday. So, that's really when you learn how aggressive you can be. There's going to be mistakes. There's going to be wrecks. There's going to be parts failures. There's going to be all kinds of things that always happen in a Daytona 500. But, I think there's going to be more things happen than probably have happened in the past, just because there's going to be silly mistakes made.
Right.
We're gonna shoot through our pits, or we're going to forget what gear we're in. We've got an extra gear. So, there's all kinds of things that could happen that just seem elementary, like elementary mistakes, but they're going to be real mistakes, because it's just not second nature, from the driver's standpoint with this car. So you just have to be okay with that, and you can't let that end your day. You have to be okay with making mistakes and things going wrong, but you also want to try to make less mistakes than everybody else by going through the process, through practice, through the qualifying races, and be as prepared as possible, watch as much as possible, look at as much data as possible, to be able to eliminate as many of those things as possible.
We are used to coming down here in Daytona and this being a beast of its own. It's a very different racetrack and a very different style of racing. But then when you head to that West Coast swing in the next 2-3 weeks and 2 or 3 races, we're used to it being, okay, we know what we have to work with. We know what we need to improve on and kind of where we stand as we get going into these summer months. Where's that point this year now with that next gen? Is it going to be the West Coast swing?
Yeah, it's going to be California.
Okay.
You know, that racetrack has sat there for 2 years. They're going to coat the racetrack with resin. High tire wear. And, you know, I think for us, we know that the tire wear with this particular car is high on the right rear. And so, you know, I think that, yeah, I mean, we don't have a lot of good sim data for the racetrack to know exactly, you know, what we think the speeds need to be. The wheel force car hasn't been there. So there's just a lot of things that that are going to be exposed really quick at California as to what you're going to battle and the things that you need to do to get through that race weekend. It's a long race, and it's always a challenging racetrack, you know, from a driver's standpoint, because there's so many places to run it, but there's so many more elements that are going to be layered on top of the normal elements because of the fact that, you know, it's a racetrack that presents a lot of challenges with the old car that we haven't been to in a couple years, and it's just a lot of unknowns.
Right. Well, one thing that will not be unknown, and you have one of the best to top the pit box in the garage, Rodney Childers. He doesn't sleep. He's a student of the sport constantly. How many text messages did you get from RC over the off season?
Oh, well, there's usually not if it's during the week, like I would say it's very rare that I go through the day without a text message or an email, but that's what keeps me informed, though. Like,
sure.
He's really good at keeping me informed about what's going on to keep up with the sport, keep up with the progression of not only the sport, but our company and things that are happening there. So, you know, I want to help. So if there's something that I see or a question that I have, and, you know, he's quick to answer, and you know, if it's something that I need to go to somebody else and ask a question, you know, it's good to have that awareness of everything that's going on, and he keeps me pretty aware of everything that's going on.
Well, another guy who keeps you pretty aware and pretty young too, from one KH to the next KH, Keelan. Everybody asks me, you know, what are your career goals? I'm like, I just want to be around when Keelan Harvick is racing. It's looking like it's going to be sooner rather than later.
Yeah, he's doing good. Yeah, he's been through. We went and raced all winter, so, you know, as soon as Phoenix ended, we raced the next 2 weeks, and I think we took Christmas off, and we've raced all but 2 weeks since our season ended. So, yeah, I mean, he's doing good. We moved him up a class, and he's progressing well, and just have to keep pushing him.
All right. Stick around so we can just have the two Harvicks on track together,
yeah,
okay?
Right. No, that's not going to happen. It's too far away.
All right, Kevin Harvick going after his second Daytona 500 championship on Sunday.